I didn't know you got to be a part of this. I thought it was going to be soft.
When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, the sun comes shining through. All the world smiles with you.
That's what we're talking about today. The whole world smiles with you. I realize, yeah, there's a nice. I have a book. I mentioned that last time. Looks like this. It's an e-book. Some of you said you were going to download it last time I was here, and you haven't, because they send me an email if anybody downloads it. So maybe you forgot. But I have these postcards. If you wanted to take one with you to remind you, it's only $3. Okay. I have to say that. My business manager, my wife, gets upset if I don't put in the plug right at the start. So what's all this business about being happy all the time? Well, that's what I want to talk about today, and I wanted to start with a really good joke to really get us going. But instead I have this one. So here we go. So there's this guy, and he's working at the aquarium, spraying out the tanks or whatever. And the head of the aquarium comes rushing up to him and says, "Oh my gosh, we have a huge problem. All of the kids from the elementary school are coming by today for the big tour. And the problem is that our dolphins have kind of gotten a little frisky. And we really don't want all the kids seeing that. But we know the solution. If you could go down to the beach and gather up some baby seagulls, then we will put them in the dolphin tank. That distracts the dolphins and everything will be okay. So if you would go and do that, that would be great." So he sends the guy off. He says, "Oh, but one more thing. Just so you know, the zoo next door has reported that they are missing a lion. So be very careful on your way between here and the beach." I know it's a long way to go, and it's not really worth it. So anyway, so the guy goes down to the beach. He takes his bag, scoops up all the baby seagulls, he puts them in a bag, and he comes back up the narrow path. And as he's coming up, laying right across the path, is the missing lion, asleep, seemingly no problem. He's very concerned. He's got the kids, he's got the gulls, he's got the lion. So he very carefully steps over the lion and continues on his way. And right then, a police officer jumps out of the woods and arrests him. And the man says, "But officer, why?" And he says, "Well, clearly, you are transporting young gulls across state lines for indecent purposes." Well, yeah, the moments are not quite right. I do my best. We all do our best to be in a good mood. We've been kind of trained for a long time. We should be happy, have a nice day, have a good time when we drop our kids off or when we pick them up. Did you have fun today? It's always the first question that we have. But why? Why is this so vital? I had my down days, or I've met down people who are just, they're contented to be in that place. Life is hard, doing the best I can, thank you very much, get there when I get there. And that should be enough. And yet, I'm sorry, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not. Course in Miracles tells us, we talked about this a little bit last time, we are indeed essential to God's plan. That's one of the choices we make when we decide to accept our role as the divine on earth. We have to become part of the plan. We are no longer passive to all of the change, to all of the things that are happening. We are, in fact, creating that. Everything must change. And so, therefore, we should inject the best of us, the most holy of us, into it. We are indeed essential to God's plan. Without, without your joy, his joy is incomplete. This is Course in Miracles lesson 100. And then, of course, they have this great bumper sticker lines. This is one of my great bumper sticker lines. Without your smile, the world cannot be saved. While you are sad, the light that God himself appointed as the means to save the world is dim and lusterless. And no one laughs, because all laughter can but echo yours. You are indeed essential to God's plan. Just as your light increases every light that shines in heaven, so your joy on earth calls to all minds to let their sorrows go and take their place beside you in God's plan. God's messengers are joyous, and their joy heals sorrow and despair. We are, in fact, tasked with that very thing. Not everything can be solved with a joke or with a corny line or a cliche. And yet we know the difference between people who walk into a room and bring that light with them. We know that coworker or that leader or that child that when they come in brings us back to a place that allows us to communicate. My primary occupation is stay-at-home dad. I've been at it for 13 years now. Not master, just still working on it. But I raised toddlers, 2 daughters, and I know the difference between, boy, that temptation to want to sometimes kind of just stop things in their tracks. And, okay, we have emergency mechanisms today. But I also know what it's like when you're, say, 2-year-old, maybe 3, probably more like 3-year-old, is carrying that loaf of bread and peanut butter and a jar of jelly and kind of heading for the nicest room in the house, ready to make themselves a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And the difference, they check in. Kids actually check in with you at that age. Maybe not later, but certainly at that. And they'll kind of give you that little sort of questioning look. No words are required. I'm a man of words, and I thought maybe a lot of words would really work with my children. But I quickly learned no words are required. Just a smile is permission enough. Even the toddler understands that a smile is permission. Smile is, it's okay. Smile is, go for it. And as adults, we have the ability to do that too. That simple, when you enter the elevator, it's a little awkward. Just a smile eases everything. No words are necessary. But it allows the opening between 2 people, and let's say 2 spirits, who are going to be in the same elevator for however long, and are now going to be there in peace. Are now going to be there with just a little bit something better. Our joy is, in fact, required. It allows things to happen in the world. It facilitates greatness. And the payoff is extraordinary. Again, from Course in Miracles, in a section called From Darkness to Light. When the light comes, now, we started earlier like it. Oh, my child, if you knew what God wills for you, your joy would be complete. God wills for us perfect happiness. And what he wills has happened, for it is always true. When the light comes, and you have said, God's will is mine, you will see such beauty that you will know it is not of you. Out of your joy, you will create beauty in his name. This is what we were just talking about. You see it, you experience it, and then you create it. You're essential. You will create beauty in his name, for your joy could no more be contained than his. The bleak little world will vanish into nothingness, and your heart will be so filled with joy that it will leap into heaven and into the presence of God. That sounds kind of nice. This bleak little world will disappear. And metaphysically, some people know that as ascending, as transitioning, as moving on. I'm apparently not there yet. I'm here. How do I know my work here is not done? Because I'm here. And then when I've made that point, then we'll go. But we also know from a very practical sense what this means is beautiful things happen. Wonderful things occur. and we enter into the presence of God, which is ours to bring everywhere we go. Everywhere we go. And we're here. And we're here in this life. And sometimes it's hard, I get that. And hopefully you recall from last time, I want to bring practicality to this. It's not all just theory. I want us to be able to go out and have actual tools to use. It's foundation of my books, it's foundation of everything I teach. So let's see if we could talk about some of the practicals and when life gets hard. The first thing, I'm going to try for 3, we'll see how time goes. The first thing to bear in mind is that the world is working very hard to be boring. We would all, we're kind of being channeled into do it this way, the world just runs better that way, follow the rules, if everyone just bought the same stuff and did the same thing. So we have to seek out opportunities to do it different. I don't recommend driving on the wrong side of the road, but there are just interesting ways. When I was dating my wife, a while ago, my now wife, we were driving down the street, and she wanted to go to a certain fast food restaurant that I don't care for so much. I don't want to say what it is, but let's just say it rhymes with Schmurgerbling. And I didn't want to go. But she's in the passenger seat, I'm driving, I'm like, okay, that's fine. So we go up to the restaurant, we turn, we're going to drive through because we're on our way to somewhere. And there's that thing you can do where it's like, well, what do you want? What do you want? This, and then I decided, let's just do this a different way. So I turned around and I started to back through the drive-through because that would put her at the speaker. And this seemed to me a logical solution to a complicated issue. Just take care of it yourself. I'll make that happen. Now, this is an interesting opportunity because the first person whose life is sort of changed when you do this is whoever is in the car. And she was a little bit stunned and laughed, and thus, here we are 15 years of marriage later. I mean, it was a good summary. I didn't intend it to be a test, but it kind of turned out. So that's good. Now, the next thing that happens that's interesting is when someone else wants to go through the drive. Because you're facing the wrong way. And so from a distance, they start to wonder what you're up to. And there's a little bit of, am I coming out the wrong way? Am I stuck in the drive? And they're looking a little, and so you have to communicate. No, come on, it's okay. Come on. It's all right. And so now you've changed and affected the lives of some other people. And if there's a line at all, you're staring right at those people for a few minutes while you're waiting for the line to move. So there's a moment kind of happening there. Then we get to the window. And pretty much every employee in the place is plastered up against them because the word has gotten out. Hey, look at what this guy is doing out there. So they're peeking out, they're looking, they're changed their day. Maybe they'll go home and tell someone that this has occurred. She has seen the crazy fool. He drove backward through the drive-thru. But my wife got her food and everything was happy. And now here I am, probably 18 years later, helping you have a better day with that story. You have to find these opportunities. Life can be very, very monotonous if we let it. But we can seek out the joy and the fun. And you have to work at it. You have to decide to do it different. You have to decide that it doesn't matter what the folks in the restaurant think of you. It just matters that you're seeking a little joy today. That's a good one. It kind of requires you to be in a good mood anyway. You have to be willing to step out. What about when we're crabby? I found this thing. 2. 1 is find opportunities. 2. I am scheduled to come back in April already, which is great. And so maybe we'll talk, because the whole talk could be about 2, which is gratitude. Gratitude brings us back to ourselves like nothing else. Gratitude is this amazing, powerful force that I workshops on, I write on it all the time. Gratitude is amazing. Just centers us, just returns us to. And when I was in college, I went to college in New York City. And I went to NYU, and every day I walked through Washington Square Park in the middle of Greenwich Village, Manhattan, New York City. And every day two things happened to me. Every day I was offered drugs, and every day I had an opportunity to give someone money. Offer drugs and ask for money. And one day, I was going across the park, and I was grumpy as could possibly be, and I have no idea why, for whatever it is that, young men get angry about, even though my life was glorious. And I wasn't doing well, and these two things happened, and you just kind of keep walking, and all of a sudden it occurred to me that this guy, this gentleman, $1 would help him. I thought, I wonder if I have it. And then it occurred to me, and I came up with this exercise. It's called a personal price tag. And I've used it for years, and you can do it right now, and you can do it anytime. Add up, and this is what I did that day in the park, add up the value of whatever you have on your person right now. Right now. Just do it in your head, whether you purchased it for yourself, or it was a gift, or someone paid for it or not. Start with your shoes. Just get a general idea. What's your clothes, your sweater? Oh, don't forget your jewelry. Maybe a watch. Oh, glasses or contacts. How many of you have a phone with you right now? This guy wants $1 or $5. Raise your hand if what you're wearing on your person right now is more than $100. Many of us. Or more than 2. Or more than 3. Or more than 5. Or more than $1,000 on you right now. It's very easily done in our culture and where we live and where we are right now. You're walking around with $1,000 or more, or $100 or more, on just what it takes for you to survive. This guy wants $1, or 5, or 10. At any moment I do that play, that person, that moment, that exercise, and I find that I'm just brought right back to, oh my gosh, how can I possibly think that my life is a struggle or is difficult, considering what that thing would do. There are micro-loan organizations now where you can contribute, you can actually be the banker for someone in another culture or another country, and what they need is $50 or $100 to completely transform their business. To take one example was in the Middle East, a gentleman who used to have to ride his bike every day 25 miles to get the parts that he needed for his small repair shop. And by loaning him like $100, he was able to motorize his bike, be there and back in an hour instead of 5 hours, quadruple his business, become an entrepreneur, changed his life. $100. You're walking around with that thing. Gratitude returns us to our center, allows us to reconnect. Gets us happy. Gets us grateful. Gets us thankful. Gets us thankful. Because we have everything we need. There's always enough. Then there's all these people. All these people nagging us all the time. Life would be easy with all my stuff in my house. I believe my house. Once in a while. And on that dad issue, every once in a while, people they just poke. Just do. What do we do about that? Okay, 1 is look for opportunities for fun. 2 is be grateful. 3 is just that simple prayer. Course in Miracles offers us this solution. Oh, when people are bothering me, it's just so difficult. It weighs me down. I should go apologize. I should go seek forgiveness. I should go, there's probably going to be some sort of appointment involved. We might have to find an open Starbucks. I might have to bring some baked goods. It's very complicated when relationships happen to resolve all of that. Oh my gosh, it just makes it worse. But what we want is to be happy right in this moment. What we want is to find our center, our holiness right now. We need to return to our holy self because in every holy instant we have a choice and we can create miracles if only we are in the mind of God. So try this tool from lesson 105. It invites you to think of your enemies a little while, enemies in quotes, and tell each one as he occurs to you, My brother, peace and joy I offer you, that I may have God's peace and joy as mine. That's the whole thing. My brother, peace and joy I offer you, that I may have God's peace and joy as mine. I want peace and joy. I offer it to you. And it's a prayer. You can write it on a card at some point if you really feel compelled to. But what we're really talking about is your ability to return to grace. My brother, peace and joy I offer to you, so that I may have peace and joy for myself. I lost a friend in Superstorm Sandy. It's almost a year and a half ago. And he didn't pass away. It's very confusing. It's complicated. It was a complicated relationship. But he was one of my dearest friends. And the friendship dissolved at that point. I don't want to go into that. And I experienced grief, as I have at other times in my life. I recognized it very plainly. That includes all of the steps, sadness, whatever, and anger. And there is no option here to reconcile this friendship. And yet this prayer is what helps me get through those times. And sometimes I have to say a lot of times in a row. Sometimes it's not as instant as that personal price tag. Sometimes it doesn't change the circumstances outside of me at all. But the goal for us is to seek what within us brings us back to our holy self, so that we may serve, because our role is essential to God's plan. And so we find ways to look for the fun. We bring ourselves to gratitude. We forgive and honor others and ourselves, and we become that holy person again in joy and happiness. Like fun. Good shot. And sometimes it still doesn't quite work. So I said 3, here's 4. Number 4 is just fake it. Just fake it. Just slap that smile on your face, whether you want to or not. Literally smile and just be like, okay, that's great, okay. You know, I did a book discussion one time, and somebody said, oh, we were talking about peace at the time. Peace, well, don't we have to figure out what peace means, and isn't peace different for different people? And it's like, no, peace, as God said, peace is the way. It just is. You just have to be in it. And in fact, it's been scientifically proven that if you just smile, if you do the physical expectations of being happy, it begins to change the brain chemistry, and you become happy. Fake it. Fake it till you make it. Do whatever's required. You can practice by pretending that this closing joke is funny. All right? So here we go. This one I actually need a cue for. Here we go. All right. Speaking of Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, as you know, walked barefoot most of the time, which produced an impressive set of calluses on his feet. He also ate very little, which made him rather frail. And with his odd diet, he suffered from bad breath. And this made him a supercalifragilistic hexpihalitosis. Go forth joyously. Thank you.